And we are recording with Mr. William Ramsey on Wednesday, December 18th, 2024 at 12:23 p.m. Eastern Time. And yeah, I don't know, just for record keeping sake, on the Rumble's not loading for me. So anybody watching, I don't know if y'all are having that problem too. I don't Rumble 44 now it's opening, but whatever, fuck me, right? You've been on here multiple times before. The link to your podcast is in the description. We've talked about really everything from the smiley face killers to satanic pedophilia to technocratic to, God saves to God is real to kind of this, that, and the other thing. And right now it's kind of hard not to talk about the waves of drone sightings across the U.S. What are they? Is it a psyop? Is it a psyop of psyops? It's something's going on. I don't think it's necessarily about the drones. That seems to be just like the placeholder, but there's something around it. I personally think the psyop is about some sort of like active camouflage or something. It's just my gut feeling is they're testing, because what better way to test it than 350 million people with phones and cameras, see what the average person perceives. Seems like some sort of three-dimensional camouflage where, if you see three lights, we might say, "Oh, that's a terrible camouflage. I can see three lights." The actual thing might be, a craft the size of a football stadium that's appearing as three lights, or it might be 3 million lights appearing as three lights, or it could go one step further. It might not even be those at all. It might be that they're rolling out near indistinguishable AI videos onto Twitter and go, these videos of drones are real, so we'll put up three drones over Newark. And then what we're going to do is we're going to seed some fake videos of drones over Boston or something. And people might just go, yeah, there are drones everywhere. We don't know. The real psyop might be 9 out of 10 of the drone settings are real. One of them's completely digitally fabricated. And that's this, they go, okay, it passed. Because then if you could use that, you could do anything. You know, you could do CEO, corporate espionage. You could have CEOs, saying racist shit on camera. And if it's near indistinguishable, you could have a video of Putin dying and throw the world into upheaval. And if it's fake, so I think the psyop is more around perception and or camouflage. But I'll stop my ranting. And Mr. Ramsey, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for inviting me. Glad to be with you. Glad to be with you again. Yeah, no, I think you're all right. I think that all of these events, there's an element of data gathering surrounding. So they're putting the stuff out to see how the public responds to it. So you see the same thing with COVID as well, and maybe any other political event. How is the public going to respond to this? So I think it's maybe like a Project Blue Beam for people who don't know is like a planned invasion, which they've done in the past. War of the Worlds. I don't know if people remember this back in the 40s where they had a radio thing that threw the country into a panic. So this is almost being like this kind of psychological warfare, throwing the public into a panic by not knowing and not disclosing, and the government not disclosing. Even at this time, they're having closed door meetings, like, so the public is not getting the right information. So I think that that's it. So this data kind of palantir data gathering, like you said, where they can do different things and see what's effective, what's not. But I do think this drone sightings are real. I think there's
Yeah.
actually you know, in three dimensions, like there's actually real drones taking place. It's just, why are they doing it? What's the real thing? There's stories coming out that there was, some fissile, not fissile, but like radioactive
Hmm.
material missing in Newark on the second. So that kind of coincides with the timing of these events happening. So that makes sense. Um, but they're advanced. Like, I think there was a guy on Rogan a couple days ago, within the last few days, said these things are big. They're making turns that are strange, so their power sources are different. So I think that you're seeing I think you're seeing kind of a new technology, but also you're seeing somebody in the government, somebody in the kind of hidden government, assessing and analyzing what's working and what's not working. So I think that there's something going on beyond the curtain, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, and it makes sense, like regardless of good or bad, right? Or regardless of just in terms of like objectively, it makes sense. We're 2.5, almost 3 years in Ukraine, Russia. Drones have completely revolutionized the battlefield. I mean, on par with aerial surveillance, on par with, automatic weapons as opposed to, muzzle loaded or, like muskets. And the reason for that is because a low cost thing, a drone with low cost, I guess, training. Can you use an Xbox controller? You don't need 9,000 hours in a flight sim for a B-2 bomber. And then what are they doing? So low cost production, low cost training, and then what are they doing? They're negating anything from Bradleys to Abrams to whatever tanks. That's a wild asymmetry. And I personally think that's why we've kept it going on so long in Ukraine is because we're going the next major conflict. Imagine it's 3 years ago. We're going the next major conflict is going to be like large. All our wargaming shows drones, and then as this popped up, it's going. We are getting priceless R&D there because it's about how do people evade from it. What is the psychological effects, and you can set up however many mannequins you want in a wooden village and do drone testing and it's evil, but nothing's going to give you richer data than actual real world response. How do people behave under the stresses of battle? I think we're looking at that, soaking up all. That's probably part of the deal. We'll give you $1 zillion in gear. We're hoovering up all this R&D, and then of course, yeah, we're going to be building the better ones back here, just like we sell F-35s to our allies, but not F-22s. Well, we're giving you the drones, the real Gucci gear. We're testing that here, and we've gotten enough data, I guess, and now it's another test, whatever that test is. It's
Right.
yeah, that's as best of a shot as I have.
I think it's a test on the public. See what the public's going to think,
Absolutely,
what the public's going to
absolutely.
do, testing surveillance elements, so informational gathering. So it's not just a weaponized drone, but an informational gathering drone. God only knows the bio warfare components, but like you said, there's already been a revolution in military affairs within the beginning of the war in 2022, where manned craft are outdated. Like
Yeah,
literally, like we're past that now. So, like you said, the bang for the buck, the utility of using it, the no deaths involved in drone warfare. And so I think that you're seeing that kind of here. But what this has been happening in Ukraine for almost 3 years now. So, but there's also high technology. Like I was reading stuff today online. There's this thing called Vanta Black where like it absorbs light. So they're
yeah. The
probably using
it's
stuff
the
like that.
blackish Vanta bag. I just love the name of it too, Vanta
I know it's
Black.
cool.
It's so
But
sick.
like this is so they're showing you maybe what they want to see, what they don't want to see. So you see the ones they want you to see, but the ones they don't want you to see, they're keeping hidden. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. So I think that this is part of kind of the new generation NG warfare, right? It's second,
Yeah,
third generation, whatever you want to call it, the next generation from the old one. And so there's always the psychological component, right?
sure.
So I think
Yeah,
you're seeing that loud and possibly overlaps with the whole UF. In my opinion, the UAP stuff is all deception. Like there's no
yeah,
real aliens. So they're kind of tying maybe that in there to try to like I think that goes back to the War of the Worlds
yeah.
kind of UFO deception aspect of this as well.
It's also not a bad move if you're the apex power. Again, not that I'm for, but just pretend it's a game, a tabletop game, and you're the powers that be. If you're the U.S. and you are the current global financial military hegemon, you also can't have alien craft over your skies moving with impunity. That's total like beta male energy. You cannot be like, we're the world's power, and then like, oh, we don't know what those are. That you're kind of a bitch. So if there were legit craft, you'd also want to just flood the skies and be like, oh, they're ours. Don't worry about it. They're ours. All right. If you're above New York City, very rarely is there like a scary light. It's like, yeah, it's one of the zillion planes coming into the capital of the world. So I think that's probably another aspect. I'm with you. I don't think they're alien craft, and that I think if we were interacting with alien intelligence, it would be in no way that we can even fathom. I think the idea of a
If it
craft.
can make it here from some other
Well,
solar system, it
that
wouldn't look like something a human being made,
that
right?
too, but like I
Yeah.
think even that idea is outdated. The idea that there is a craft moving between 2 points. I think even that is the same as being like they'll show up on horseback. You'd be like, what the fuck did you just say? Like, I don't think
Right.
it'll be that.
I think that unfortunately, if you look all the way back to kind of the beginning of Roswell, there's always a military intel thing and military intel people involved in the UFOs, even up to the present day. Like I've studied a lot of that stuff. So there's definitely an intel element, and a lot of times they're covering up some of their own programs. So this could be something like that. They don't mind having the public think that this is a UFO thing, or facilitating that belief in the public, which is part of the psychological warfare aspect, is trying to convince people something else that's happening. But what's the real purpose? Are they really just doing it for no reason, just to kind of spook the public or prime the public, so to speak? Because sometimes I know that in other events, other big events, 9/11 or some of these other things, they prime the public. They give them like they talked up Osama bin Laden before September 11th, 2001. I was a sucker back then, so I bought
Sure.
all that stuff. But so maybe this is kind of like a priming for the future, that there's going to be maybe a drone warfare here in the States and something like that of getting ready, because the Russians are at wit's end. Like, I think, yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of strange things. Like, Trump is not in power yet, so we still have another month. So this may be associated with like threats against the homeland. So
Yeah. It's gonna
um,
be a long 32 days.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
it's
it's going to be an interesting ride, a bumpy ride. And
yeah.
they've already done crazy stuff. Like, they've already attacked within the Russian. Well, there's no declaration
Yeah.
of war. I don't know what happened. Ukraine is like the 52nd state, right? So
Yeah.
we have 50 states, where Israel's 51, Ukraine is 52. It's a huge program, just like Israel. And they're doing crazy. They really want to collapse Russia. It's not even Putin. They want all the they want to turn it into like balkanized states, and take all their natural resources, trillions of dollars. So, I mean, without the public approval, right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
just kind of
of
like so.
course.
So I think that's something for them. It's not a war. They've had existential wars, and for them, this one is becoming
Yeah.
existential, which is never good.
Yeah. And I don't think it's early on. I was kind of using the talking point of like it's some weird inertia where we're still like, we got to take down the Soviet menace. And it's like, yeah, man, that was 35 years ago. But now I'm kind of looking at it more, not to give credit to the people conducting this war, but it might be they're going, well, listen, a war with China is inevitable. Thucydides trap. All of our AI wargaming shows it happening. It's probably like weather, like like the weather predictions when you check it and it's like we're gonna get this much snow or that much snow. It's probably shifting. Some days it's like there's war with China in August 2028. Other days it probably shifts to like 2035. But I would imagine all of the war games would show that Russia would pair with China. So it might be that we're going, well, what are we gonna in 2030? What are we gonna be saying? I wish we did before. Probably say, well, I'd probably break apart Russia before you try to go destroy China. Preemptively destroy an ally. Which I mean, it's all evil. That asterisk is there, but I think that's what you would do. And also in terms of like revolutionizing technology, not that either you or I have any expertise in this shit, but like just like drones taking on, you know, 20, $50 million tanks. I think it's also been sort of floated for a while that aircraft carriers are obsolete, that yeah, it's like no one would attack them because it would mean war, sure. But at the same time, you go, well, no one's going to nuke New York because it's mutually assured destruction. That idea applies, but they still physically can nuke New York. They still physically can destroy an aircraft carrier. And if you put 10, $20 billion in each aircraft carrier strike group, if I were China, I would say let them keep building them, let them drain their resources, their time, all their metamaterials and steel foundries, and let them build it and then destroy it. It might be that we're going to pair the revolutionizing drone effect of Ukraine Russia with aircraft carriers. And how can you make these sunk costs, no pun intended, but these things we have, 13 nuclear powered aircraft carriers, how do we make them not worthless? I would imagine you can probably fit like 100,000 drones on an aircraft carrier. And aren't they saying they think these are coming from the ocean? Maybe we're testing how well are they detected as super motherships. I don't know. That's
Right.
what I would do.
Maybe they're testing it over the American people because they want to test it over Russia or China in the
Yeah,
future.
absolutely.
So
How
let's
well
see
is
how
it
everybody
detected?
responds. Yeah, let's do these things. I mean, we know the Biden administration's capable of all kinds of stuff,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
they could do this, no question. But it's kind of like they're playing like Risk with the rest of the world. Really, they're right at the brink. I mean, we're
Yeah.
past the Cuban Missile Crisis, but like, there's millions of people dead. Like, there's at least a million Ukrainians that they published that they know of, and that I think 5 or 10 million people have left the former country of Ukraine. So it'll never be the same. But imagine if this gets extrapolated and expanded, and you're talking about World War II numbers, like 60 million people dead or whatever. Like, it's going to get worse. And there's
Yeah.
nobody. I mean, I think Biden's actually dead. I think he's incapacitated. It
I don't.
probably sounds
Yeah.
crazy, but they actually had an O'Keefe
My buddy
interview with the
told
guy.
me about that the
Yeah,
other day. That he
Paul was
can't
his
talk.
name. Yeah,
That the guy.
APP. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this, and it coincides with what people are seeing because the one of the guys they roll out cannot be Biden. It looks like him, but he's like 4 inches taller, and
Yeah.
he's mobile, like, and
Yeah.
actually kind of lucid. He kind of is lucid. So he's
Yeah.
too lucid to be Biden. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to believe, but it really is. So like, we're in this kind of situation where like we're at the brink of like a third world war, and there's drone warfare and weird things happening over the U.S. that the government won't disclose to its own people. It's incredible.
Well, that tells me that it's not Russia
Yeah, no, it's
outright, Russia or Iran, because they would milk that to the end of the time, right?
right.
That's a propaganda win right there. This is why we need more backing in Ukraine because they're here at home. It's you just cut out. Oh, there you are. But yeah, no, and then that kind of comes back to the camouflage thing. It might be that like, yeah, they're detecting three drones, and it's like that might be a stunning success because it's like that's actually a group of 500 drones, and you're only detecting not just lights because that would be the easiest. You had to just turn on three lights, but there might be again if it's only being detected on radar, that might be a huge win. Like, yeah, you can send up a 10,000 drone swarm from an aircraft carrier and only detect three. That's wildly successful. Um, yeah, and
If you remember the attack of Iran against Israel, very successful attack, not mentioned in the Western media, but they sent in this first wave was just cheapo drones came in and flying in a big mass formation, and it confused all the radar. And they have the Iron Dome, but that was the first step. And then came in some more missiles, and then came in the supersonic missiles, and those are the ones that blew up with the air base that was in kind of southern Israel. I can't remember the name of it now, but you could see Netanyahu was freaked out because his hands were shaking when he had the press conference. I don't think they were supposed to show that,
yeah,
but I don't think that there was supposed to have that much success. And you notice that counterattack of Israel wasn't very effective. It didn't do much. So you see the other application of these mass drones that you're talking about in real world this year. Like, it's incredible. So this may be just part of this new generation of warfare, and there may be testing out, or maybe they had like a real drone survey. Well, we know that the Chinese have had those weird air balloons fly over the U.S. twice, right? With no real, they didn't get shot down, or there was no warning or response, which is very strange. So maybe it's something associated with something like that, as the Russians or the Chinese surveyed the U.S. and then we responded with our own drone kind of over thing. But I think that's the ultimate thing is like the U.S. has always been arrogant, and I call it hubris in the fact that we don't have any real close military competitors and obviously two huge oceans. But I think that that's probably what Russia and China are thinking of, like, you're at our territory. What can we do to get to your territory, right? I
mm,
mean, they have nuclear subs off the coast of both coasts, but maybe they're just trying to show it what it's like, what it feels like. Because I don't even their restraint is really incredible. Like, the U.S. has been kind of poking them in the chest for ever, really, and yeah, they've been very steady in a way, not like our leaders, in my opinion.
I wonder if you could use, I just thought of this. I wonder if you could use drones in like the wake of an EMP blast. I wonder if you could, this is really out there, but think about like wireless charging, where it's like you can charge a phone without actually plugging it in. I wonder if you could provide like wireless power. Like after a nuclear, like a huge part of aside from the nuclear bomb is they say afterwards is basic things then become very rare, like running water or electricity. So things that really haven't been an issue for hundreds of years, just like dying of the cold in December or something, become an issue all of a sudden. I wonder if you could just put up like a grid of 100 or 1,000 drones or something and do like what now it wouldn't be used for civilians, it would be used for, VIPs and for military installations. I don't know if that's something you could do. Just throw up drones,
Probably.
kind of
I
like
think that they
recreate
have.
a power grid.
I mean, you've had that guy Forbes on, right? Who makes a
Yeah.
pretty convincing argument that that plane went through some kind of ether or some
Oh
crazy
yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
no,
it's
that's
when you talk about this kind of higher technology or sharing electricity, there's been interesting stuff. Mark Andreessen, who started Netscape, probably maybe before your time. Like
that the
I'm
guy
old
just
enough.
who was just on Rogan?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But I've been following him. He's usually I just think of him as a tech guy, but he has a lot of interesting things to say. And he had a lot of encounters with people in the Biden administration about AI, personal
Yeah.
encounters, and he's sharing those now.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
he's
yeah.
also talked about preference cascade or just other concepts that may not be as commonly talked about. So really interesting. I've done a show on him because he kind of has this kind of Gnostic tech outlook, which I've talked about. But the reason that he came to mind is when you're talking is that these guys from he never mentions their name. They say they're from the Biden administration. They came and talked to him about AI and said, "Hey, don't start any startups. We're
Hmm.
going to control it through two things. We've taken," he said, this is like almost a near verbatim quote. He said, "We've taken whole sectors of physics out of the public mind." And a lot of people didn't key into that. I didn't key into it at first, but what their arrogance is that we know this hidden secret physics knowledge like Forbes or whatever, and we're going to do the same thing to AI, and you're not
Yeah.
going to be a part of it. It's almost like a bullying. I'm the boss and I have the power.
It's
State
modern
saying to,
wizardry.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say that too because a guy who's very technically astute and a very smart guy was Arthur C. Clarke,
Hmm.
and his third dictum or third principle was any sufficiently
Usually
advanced application of
is
technology is
indistinguishable from
indistinguishable
magic.
from magic. You know?
Yeah, no, that's I mean they did. Yeah, I saw that clip too, where it's like they've taken whole sectors of physics off. Uh, yeah, no, and they did that with I mean stealth. I mean stealth. It's now it's more it's high tech. It's radar absorbing material. It's actual I guess I don't know materials. But the first aircraft it was just an equation. It was really just this the F-117. The guy who invented stealth was actually Soviet, and he never got any funding there. And
Wow.
we found it here, and we were like, "What the fuck's this?" It's just an equation. It's just like, yeah, if you have all these really ugly, I don't know, geometric patterns, and then they shoot it with the beam, and they go, "There's nothing there." Like it.
Wow.
But yeah, no, they just classified that out. It's not like that was like it was like a classified base or something. And it's like you can't come in. That was just like that was an equation. That was a form of math that they're like, yeah, it doesn't fucking exist. And if it does exist and you look at it, you're not just getting an F on your paper. You're going to Gitmo. Like like
Wow.
and
Yeah.
it's like it doesn't make it right, but it makes it what it is, right? And they
Right.
don't they say that in Good Will Hunting when he's interviewing with the NSA? They go,
Sounds right.
he's like the CIA, they like to think they're the big dick, but you guys have 10 times the intelligence capabilities. And then the guy smiles and he goes, "We've taken whole fields of mathematics, or we've classified whole fields of mathematics."
Wow. I
That's
don't
the way to
remember
go
that.
for it,
That's
man.
amazing. Yeah.
That's what you would do. And so then if we can look at something like MH370, and it is wizardry. It's just well, then, why couldn't that apply as a general idea that something that is impossible might be possible? Well, you then have to, if it can happen once, you have to go, well, where else could it happen? Why wouldn't it
Right.
happen with AI? A,
Right. Or these
a
drones sharing electrical power. Like they're getting power. Like one guy, very sophisticated guy, say high G, 5G movements, like quick movements, large size, and strange power modules, like the power isn't
Yeah.
something that's a standard power like
Maybe
electricity
the
or
power
gas or
plant's
something.
not on the craft.
Right. Well, I mean, I
It
think that
absorbs it or something.
wasn't it Tesla who said that he figured out how to like have electricity go through the air or something.
Yeah.
So maybe it's something like that, some kind of like a transference of actual energy from a set base to these drones. Like, I mean, where I think you're right. You're in the kind of MH, so was it 370
Yeah.
thing where that's why it's weird. And that's why you're kind of in this environment of like UFOs because it's inexplicable. So the easy conclusion is just say, hey, this is interplanetary
Yeah.
technology instead
Yeah.
of like second or third generation past us.
It it is so funny that like just the craziest like apex conspiracies. It's like, okay, I bet they killed Kennedy, but I don't believe in Roswell. It's like we are so through the looking glass in terms of like, yeah, they used black magic to vaporize an airplane and they're controlling AI right now, and there might be a functional silicon hyper intelligence that's running the world, and Biden's dead, but they have like a recreation. We're like so like
Yeah, we're
walking up
way
to the
past.
edge of like schizophrenia, but it's hilarious because then it's also like we're still just going about our lives. Like I still have to do dishes after this. Well, but
Right.
like UFOs are
It's so
real, and the
true.
president might be dead and could have been dead for a while, but nonetheless, like I've got to
I've
like
got to pay
I
my
got to
bills
dry
and I got
off
to
some
work
like
or do
I got
something.
to put the
Right.
forks in the fucking drawer. I'm out of
Right.
my
No,
forks.
it's
It
incredible.
is kind of like a hilarious keep calm and carry on kind of thing. Like, all right,
Yeah.
yeah, no, so the aliens are over JFK Airport. Like, interesting.
How can, I
I
mean, I
put up the
guess it,
Christmas tree.
yeah, it looks good. Looks good. I mean, how can you kind of even like think that this could be plausible where you have an incapacitated president and everybody around it? It's to their advantage, right? Because they don't
Absolutely.
have anybody to say no.
Yeah.
They just go do what I mean, we're going to do this war. I'm going to have all my funding. FBI is going to do what they want. DOJ is going to do what they want. And we just have to keep up this illusion that this guy still, yeah, he wasn't actually very functional in 2020.
No, yeah,
Right.
no,
So
no.
like it's not that much of a surprise, like if
And
he's really
age
incapacitated.
anyone that's like my late grandmother, anyone age related decline, especially mental, it's exponential. It
Yeah,
the difference between my grandmother died in 2018. The difference between 2017 and 2018 was worse than 2010 to 2017, right? So
right.
it's a logic. Sure, president, you're probably giving him world class healthcare. Still, that guy's probably cooked. Um,
Yeah.
I was gonna say about Ukraine. I think it was Lindsey Graham that said earlier this year. I mean, the mask just fell off entirely. He's like, there are $10 trillion of rare earth minerals in Ukraine. We cannot have Russia taking that. Well, so there you go. That's why we're defending Ukraine. It's that and then preemptively weaken Russia so that they don't ally with China. But I mean, if we're looking ahead, I think I sent it to you. I sent it to everyone. Did the article by Leopold Aschenbrenner called "Situational Awareness" about the coming. I'll text it to you again. I have it
Okay, I
on.
might have
I've read
missed it.
it several. I read like a book every 2 weeks, and I have for almost 4 years. This article is probably more important than any book I've read. I'll text it to you again. Um, but in terms of like we're hitting in terms of talking about exponential like cognitive decline, we're also reaching the vertical lip of exponential growth coming to AI, and it's now less and less about there's only like sure there's complex software and hardware, but a lot of it's just to super broad strokes. A lot of it's just how much compute power can you put together in one spot? How many GPUs? How many CPUs? And then so well once that kind of becomes level, it's just who can buy them and who can produce them. Then it comes to this that like the new competition is power contracts, actual electricity acquisition. And that's why you have like Microsoft is building $100 billion supercluster for 2027. I mean, Musk has XAI, and then Tesla has their own AI. Amazon just bought a ton of real estate right next to a nuclear reactor, so they could have
Wow.
uninterrupted power. That's wild
Oh,
shit,
that is
and
that's
and
crazy.
it's because they want that just untapped power. And so if you're like you're looking farther and farther up the sort of I don't know the chain of like if there's a trench warfare, it's like, well, then bomb each other's, trains going to the front. And then after you both do that, then you bomb each other's, train factories. And then after that, you would, I don't know, bomb hospitals so no more, people can be born. And you go higher and higher up I don't know, I guess the supply lines of war. I'm saying all that to say, so once it becomes just how much physical compute can you put in one spot, then it becomes power. Well, and then further, it'd be like, well, then what about the ability to produce the actual computing hardware? And one of my buddies told me, and I haven't verified, I have no idea, I probably should, that there was like a I don't know, like a special type of quartz crystal like mining operation or factory or corporation in North Carolina that every major hardware or every major microchip manufacturer in the world use that specific quartz, including like TSMC in Taiwan. And that thing was fucked by Hurricane Helene. And it's
Wow,
like a
yeah.
lynch. So, I mean, yeah, it's if you're through the looking, if we're like just kind of like wading into the schizophrenic waters, like if we're looking at like, well, whoever has this much computing power controls the world, all right, you have to get power contracts. Well, then you also have to get the raw materials to build the microchips. Then you start looking at something like Taiwan, where all the all the rare earth minerals in Ukraine, as well as like the quartz in North Carolina, and you say like, if it's for all the marbles, whoever creates the super AI wins, all the gloves are gonna come off, including like weather warfare, MH370, zapping shit. I mean, it kind of, we're at like the season finale, which, it's kind of depressing because it means that's the end. But like, sorry for that rant, but like
No,
it's
but it's
all dialing
interesting.
up.
Yeah, I do a lot of World War II history. I love World War II history, but it was also their push for these next level weapons, right? So you have the V2 and nuclear bombs, and I'm trying to think what else. A lot of like surreptitious warfare, secret warfare, things like that. So you see the same thing now. And there was, I think, some credible guys who took soil samples from North Carolina and said that all of the kind of materials, core materials you need for weather seeding were in the soil there. So it makes perfect sense, especially how strange that was, how much power those ways. So it's a different form of warfare, and it's not surprising that that's where we're at. That's the way we have to think about these things now, considering that. I mean, especially when because of the conflict, the resources are being put into these next generation warfare, whereas like they had this whole kind of de-escalation thing, getting rid of the nuclear bombs. There were actually people negotiating and talking with opponents and doing sensible, rational things, but they're not doing now. But like, I mean, you see Oreshnik, you've done a show on that. Was it Checkmate 10 Mach 10? That's what they showed, right?
Mm.
Like that's what should scare people. I mean, it's a scary weapon system, but like what who knows what they have? I mean, the Russians have detonated the most powerful nuclear bomb in human history. It's called the
Yeah.
Demon. Like it's a demon. Like it'll destroy the world. So like that's where we're at. Like so. Um,
It, yeah, that's a good point. The guy I had on, yeah, Dr. Ted Postal,
yeah,
ICBM expert. He's been brought into like multiple administrations. He's a genius guy. The fact that like that guy coming on my show and showing me that PowerPoint, like that should have been a classified. I mean, normally, like that would be like a classified briefing to the president. Like, we believe they have this. They're never going to use it, but we believe they have it. If that's what they're showing us now, then whatever the classified briefing is, it's got to be like, all right, so we're pretty sure that they can put a black hole around Hawaii and then drop the
right,
island itself onto DC. But we're not worried about
right,
that because we think that we can form a black hole at the bottom of the ocean and
right.
then put that over Shanghai and create. You'd be like, I don't.
Wow.
You,
They have weapons in space and all kinds of
oh
things and all this
yeah.
stuff. I mean, come on. But I saw a really interesting. It makes me think of Doctor Strangelove and how prescient Kubrick was. But I saw a video that I hadn't seen before, which was Oliver Stone sitting down with Putin before the war started, watching Doctor Strangelove
Oh,
and discussing it like it could happen. Have you ever seen that video?
no.
It's incredible, man. You gotta check that out. I suggest that to you and your listeners. If you can find that, I'll try to repost it on my social media. But they're like, this could happen. This could go off. Well, this could happen in passing. Putin's like, yep, sure could. It's really something else because we're there. Like, who didn't know we'd be there 3 or 4 years later? And I think it was because Stone had done that documentary about really what happened in Ukraine, not the propaganda nonsense.
Yeah, I don't. It's there's infinite schools of thought, but one of them is one that I kind of believe, and it's like, yeah, no, they're marching towards World War III because they legitimately are like satanic occultists. Like it's no more complex than like they're just this is their sacrament. The same way that there's like corporal works of mercy and help the homeless and respect your, it's the inverse. It's like they fuck kids and want to kill people. That's one explanation. The other is that, and it's a combination of hubris, but also classification is we don't know that maybe they did perfect, the Strategic Defense Initiative. Maybe they perfected Reagan Star Wars. Maybe they did create some, I don't know. So it's like Ashton's thing about the orbs is that there's the three orbs and then they create whatever, a triangle or something, and they can only you can't be an infinite space apart, so they can create like an effective field, I guess. It's like, well, if you could do that, then one thing you would do is also put up a ton of drones so that at any given point they could they're only so many miles from one another that they could create I guess a teleportation fabric. And if there were incoming ICBMs at Mach 10, Mach 20, you're not going to hit them with ABMs. You would need to kind of create these little black holes, zoop, and spit it out, I don't know, into the asteroid belt. And it's like, well, then you would see all the drones, and so that might be what we're seeing now. But it'd probably be even better to have them in space outright. And then I'm like, and then there's Starlink. It's the high ground. It's the ultimate military high ground. And Elon Musk just has like 100,000 satellites. Like they absolutely have some additional use. So it might be that they've perfected SDI, and now they're like, the gloves are off. Let's
Right?
just
They're so
go.
confident that they
That's
can't be
what
touched.
you're walking into a bank in an EOD suit. You're like, yeah, fuck these security guards. This thing can
Right.
take tank rounds. So you're gonna start shooting. All all discretion goes out the window.
Well, I hope that's the case because they're acting like it. They're certainly playing this kind of brinksmanship game over and over. Escalation, call it the ladder of escalation or
Hmm.
whatever. So
What did you say
we're
earlier about Andres? Sorry, I don't. What was
oh,
the term you
Andreessen.
said? Preference cascading. What is that?
Yeah, preference cascade is the concept that there are ideas that are coming that they're either they can't talk about because of oppression, suppression, censorship. But then in the moment that the actual real preferences of the people get spoken for, it becomes a cascade. So he called it preference cascade, and it was an interesting concept. And he applied it in the context of Ceausescu in Romania. If you remember that, like that guy was a commie dictator for a long period of time. And then something happened. Like he didn't, there was one guy who got angry and it just created this cascading effect. And within a few days, Ceausescu was gone and he was shot. And the
Oh,
whole communist system just dropped, literally dropped
oh,
like so fast. But because everybody's real preferences were suppressed or oppressed, but then they
oh,
showed them in their actions. And he thinks that this is kind of what happened in 2024 was the same type of thing. People really wanted some type of change. And so you're going to see this continuing cascading
got it.
effect, which is
Gotcha.
happening. I think that's really it. Like Trump, they like to characterize Trump as some kind of caricature, but I think that he's just a front guy for this preference cascade. Like, I don't want open borders. I don't want,
Yeah.
my huge amounts of debt. I don't want this war.
Yeah.
We didn't sign on for a war. He never declared war. I mean, so it's
Yeah.
incredible.
We also haven't declared war in like a century.
I know it's really it's a disgrace. It's a
Oh,
disgrace.
it's good. It's when I laugh at stuff, it's 'cause I'm like, yeah, it's so fucked up. I don't know what else to
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
But
I
like,
don't blame you. I feel the same way.
And you have to just sometimes laugh and be like, yeah, it's probably drones from an aircraft carrier searching for a loose nuke. Like, anyway, like you kind of nothing else to do. It's
Yeah, there people are saying it's a black swan event. I mean, a lot of good analysts are like going, this could be the predicate for some kind of thing where they're going to say, there's not going to be a transfer of power.
yeah. I think that personally, I think that they're slow walking disclosure, and that something like disclosure is so disruptive. Not just the same old like, well, the world's religions will not just, but it's so many things. I mean, if there's like infinite power generation, if there's in all things surrounding it, if there are force fields and time dilation, I mean, it really is. It's like moving from Grand Theft Auto 1, which was two-dimensional, to Grand Theft Auto 5 without going through the interrupts. It's going from
Right.
essentially Pac-Man to a real-world simulator with crash physics. It boggles the mind. And there's also just, regardless of boggling the mind, there's a bumpy adaptation and transition. And so something like disclosure, which is alien tech is like the holy grail. That's the above the president, all the tropes. It's a million levels of secrecy above the president, and it's more classified than the H bomb. And if it is real, then it absolutely would be. And then, so with that, whoever controlled that would be, you know, called the Majestic 12, but whatever, just the general, there would be some sort of council or group of people that have control of this, and it would be international. If for whatever reason they decided to roll it out for the betterment of mankind, which is a tough sell because they also seem to be demons who fuck children. But like, if they were to do it in this thought process, it would be something that you would roll out slowly so as not to have a bumpy transition. And when I mean slowly, I don't mean like slowly lay the seeds of thought for we need to go into Iraq. I mean, it would be a 20 or 30-year thing to slowly adjust people to like, yeah, time travel's real because that would melt the brains of people.
Oh, no question.
So, how would you do it? I mean, 2004 was the Tic Tac over Nimitz. You do that, and then it kind of goes away, and then you have Fravor on Rogan in like 20 whatever, and then it'd go away, and then you'd have more UFO stuff in like 2020, 2021, and then it kind of goes away. Last summer, or this summer, I don't even remember which one, they have that Senate hearing on like, we have biological tissue from not of this world. And that's insane. And then it kind of goes away. And so if it's along that line of what's happening, this will spike. I think it's already peaked. And then it will kind of go away. And in another year and a half, we'll get another thing. And they gradually get a little crazier, a little more nerve-wracking, and then it will go away. And this will probably keep happening every couple of years for, I don't know, then another 20 years until we kind of just one day wake up and realize that it is no longer shocking. It's just the Overton window shifted. Be like, yeah, I mean, we recovered alien craft 80, 100 years ago. When I was a kid, that was a conspiracy, but something like
Right.
that. I don't really know where I was going with that, but
I'm
yeah.
well. I'm just saying, like it's possible. I mean, I would. I think they should just disclose it if they have it.
I'm
So
with you.
why
Just
aren't they? If they
put it
have it,
out.
why aren't they? Like this would, like if you were like somebody who was interested in international repute or wanted to be put in like the same context as Galileo or some of these other discoverers of things, you would be incentivized to do it just to say, hey, look, I have actual real proof of this. I have some technology that actually is really alien. It's not an advanced world human technology, but this is it. Like, why wouldn't you just do that? Like, just to put it out there and let it spread around. So the fact that that's not happening to me is interesting. And
Well,
then you see this kind of interest in the UFO community of people. It's an industry. So,
oh yeah.
and some of those, and you want to have an interesting take. Find out how many of those guys are occultists, like or military intel. And you can watch that movie
Yeah.
Mirage Men documentary, and it's like, whoa, intel,
Oh yeah.
psychological operation, driving somebody insane into a mental
Making them
institution.
kill himself. And they're always like,
Yeah,
I'm ex-CIA. You're like, will you fuck
yeah.
off? Like,
Yeah, some of these guys are crazy too. Schneider was like some secret base guy. Like
oh
there's
yeah, Phil
underground
Schneider.
tunnels.
Yeah, no,
Guy cut his finger off. He was in a mental institution. Guys, come on.
and then you have guys that, and then you have, I've never talked to him, so I don't want to throw shit. But then you have someone like Stephen Greer who releases like $1 million movie every year. I'm not saying like you can't make. I'm not saying you
He
can't make a couple
and he, the
shekels.
it's so similar how he mentally summons these things to come into our realm.
Oh
Like, oh
yeah,
wow, it's almost like a magician. We're back at the
yeah.
magician level.
I
And you
always
see the intro to his films, and there's a lightning bolt hitting a tree. Wow, that's not satanic Luciferian symbolism. Give me a break. And he's got making money off it. He's got a couple homes.
yeah.
He's
Which
made a
I'm not against making a couple bucks off it. Hey, I'm all for it. If you're doing, good work, then yeah, you deserve to make a couple shekels.
to the
No, I
Stars
I go
Academy,
into all,
right?
yeah, no, right. And I love Blink 182, huge part of my childhood. I look at
Yeah.
that, I'm like, you fucking grifter. No, I literally go into all this stuff. I'm just like, all right, I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
pray to God. I'm like, fuck these demons.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'm
I think that's there's the experiencers are experiencing things that are very similar to old stories from the 16th, 17th century of people who saw entities. Why? Why is it the same? They're afraid. They don't talk to you. You feel like you're somewhere else, I think people
yeah.
have made those similarities. And a lot of those guys, look up Lavenda, look at all these guys, this UFO disclosure. There's a lot going on. And the guy who wrote was it not Possession or whatever? Whitley Strieber, unbelievable. Guy's a stone cold occultist, man. So
I
why are they occultists? Why aren't they Christians? What are the Christians saying, right? I mean,
s-
it's incredible. They're all there's pictures of that guy with Lawrence Rockefeller at Esalen and all this crazy stuff. I've done a lot of shows on that, so I got
uh
my suspicions.
yeah, I
I'll
know,
just leave it at that.
as well as you should. So I go into like all of this as just like, again, pray to, Jesus Christ. But like I go into all of this, but I also try not to personally, like, having kind of grown up in, like, not kind of grow up in like a Catholic household, and went to private Catholic school, living in southern Georgia and seeing like the real brimstone and fire. I also reflexively try not to look at something and go, that's evil. Just like, you know, technology is evil. I'm like, well, I would say right now you and I are having a great conversation. This isn't evil. And I've had great conversations about people getting sober through Christ. I'm like, so therefore it can't all be evil. So I do try to not have like a knee jerk, like comical reaction of like, that's all the devil. Like, it could also be, the limitless creativity of God. Like, here are alien species, and it's part of the Garden of Eden. He wants you to enjoy this bounty. So I try to keep that, but I also very much so stay on guard. And I'm like, just like a pedophile doesn't come up and say, I'm going to kidnap you. They say, do you want candy and puppies? I go, well, if you're like a real demon, how would you show? You'd probably show up as a beautiful, majestic light offering technology beyond your dreams. Just a hunch. If you show up with horns and wings, everyone's gonna shoot you. But if you
Right.
show
Well,
up with,
true.
we're all one and it's all, given to the technology hyper god, I would imagine you're like an Old Testament demon. Just a hunch.
Well, I mean, don't you think, like, I mean, they always talk about this blue beam, which ties into the drone thing. Like, there's going to be like an arrival. Maybe that's what this is like they're prepping people for the Matria. They're the new age Matria. That's always good and going to bring peace, right? Like, what if there's a war now and then somebody shows up and says, hey, I'm the solution. I'm going to bring peace to the Middle East, which is never going to, not possible, but peace to the world. Who knows? So yeah, you gotta, I guess, have discernment. But
You gotta,
I don't no. If there really was aliens, if aliens existed, do you think what would it mean to your Christian faith? Like you said, you kind of already said it, but like,
I
would
would
that be the
imagine.
end of it?
No, not at all. I would say that this is it's part, it's like when people are like, well, why would God make so many stars and galaxies? And I'm like, the same way, you build an awesome tree fort for your kid. It's like, let them grow up and enjoy the wonders of life. if aliens were real and they weren't demons, I would say this is the limitless creativity of God. He's saying, no, it doesn't just the movie doesn't end at Earth. Like go forth in the same way that it doesn't end with the ocean goes to the edge of the flat Earth. It's like no, there's another continent over there, and there's a whole new chapter in humanity, and there's America and space flight and the internet and Jimi Hendrix. I would say that this is the infinite creativity and novelty of God. It'd be like, yeah, no, space time travel is real. Faster than light travel is real. Go forth and discover. I would say it's just a continuation in no way, shape, or form. I've never understood that people will be like it ends religion. I'm like, in what way? In literally what way?
Doesn't it say somewhere in Christianity like worlds without end, like his kingdom will never end, worlds without end, or something like that?
Yeah,
Does that
like
sound familiar to you?
why is God limited to like the intellectual property of Earth?
Right, good point.
No, it
Well,
goes
we
to
know, I mean, so it's saying it's galaxies, billions and billions of
yeah,
galaxies and billions of stars. So the
yeah,
universe is incomprehensibly huge. It's like you
exactly.
can see it, but can you comprehend the vast expanse of the universe? It's off the charts. And why did God limit himself? Like, why didn't he just have like what these people write on the Georgia Guidestones 500? But why did he create a world and fill it with 7 billion humans of his offspring if there's a central creator? Why do it's like unlimited creativity, right? He just created this creation teeming with existence.
I think it was Alan Watts that said he was like this, scarcity is real, obviously. But he's like, in general, God's MO is abundance.
Abundance,
Like
yeah, right.
how much pollen is released versus how much is needed to seed. How much how much rain, how many rivers are there versus, how many fish really are there? How many rolling hills of grain versus how much does it take to feed you? The MO of God is just endless beaches,
Super abundance, yeah, it's super
hundreds of
abundant.
trillions of trees. It's as much as you need. And once you guys burn all the coal and well, then you'll figure out solar and 0 point energy. And once your Earth is full, go get Mars. Go get here's all. The entire
Right.
MO is more oxygen than you can ever breathe. Like
No, I totally agree.
like
It's actually interesting. You'll get super high technology, and then people will want to go back and cut down trees and burn them again, and
yeah,
just live simple lives, which is
exactly.
funny, kind of.
No,
But
it's
like
hyper
Alaska's
abundance.
like barely,
Yes.
populated. Like it's one person every square mile or something
Yeah.
crazy like that.
I
So I think the scarcity is part of the kind of like social programming, class
well,
programming,
it's a
things
good
like
way to
that.
control.
Yeah.
It's, but in terms of like,
Artificial scarcity. It's artificial.
no, precisely that. So in terms of that, I'm just like, well, why would God create? It's like it is just abundant. It's not oh, I can't own enough land here. Can I own a little more on Mars? No, it's like you can you get your own galaxy. I mean, numerically, it's right. I mean, what is there 100 billion galaxies? Like right now, each of you gets 1 million galaxies to your name or some shit. Like it is abundance beyond comprehension. So that's what I look at as. I don't look at it as I've never understood well, aliens would disprove God. Like what? I don't even. It's not that I disagree with it. I don't understand that premise. I don't. I don't. No part of me even understands it.
Right. How does it take away from it? Like it still doesn't mean like anything that's spoken by Jesus of Nazareth is wrong, right?
It-
Or incorrect or takes
Again, yeah.
away from it.
It's not that
It's
I
like
have like.
almost like illogical in a certain way.
Well, again, it's not even like I have a different perception of the rationality here, or that I'm not understanding the question. It literally makes no sense to me. It'd be like, well, today is December 18th. I'd be like, yeah. I'd be like, well, that means you're gay now. Like, what? When did what did we agree to this? It was December 18th. You like dick now. I'd be like, excuse me? I'd be like, well, we disagree. I'd be like, no. That makes no sense. You're insane. Like, get off my property.
Well, look at it in this context. Look at what Galileo showed that the earth wasn't the center of the universe. Did it change anything? It did. The Pope said it would, but it didn't change. People just shifted and said, "Okay, we got a different worldview, and Christ is still king." Christ is still
The
important.
only thing
It's
it
the
ever
same thing.
shifts is the
Yeah,
perception of power of a
perception. Right.
small elite. Well,
Yeah, I had
if
a
yeah,
show about the Shroud of Turin too. Like, if the Shroud of Turin, people say it is the actual Shroud of Christ in the oh god, who was the guy who bought him the tomb? Joseph, was it Joseph? Anyway, Joseph or Arimathea. Like, it's actually from that tomb. But if it's not, does it mean that the entire faith or religion is
no,
gone? No, it's not
like,
logic. It doesn't make sense. Of course not. And if you want to believe it, that's great. If you don't, it does that's great too, because it doesn't matter. Everything else that happened is still there in the writing and the teaching and the knowledge and all that. So a lot of people, like the guy who wrote the book about the Shroud of Turin, saying that it wasn't real. A lot of people within the Catholic Church got angry with him because it's an attack on what they thought was the faith. Like, that's the base part of the basis of the faith, that these holy relics. And I think that's not, you're getting away from the central kind of points of Christianity, which is really just part of the old Judaism. I want to know if it's Judaism, but it's definitely a revolt within Judaism, a theological revolt, 2,000 years ago.
I look at it, and well, we're coming up in an hour, so I'll let you go so I
Okay.
don't keep my ramblings. But I was gonna say, I look at it as something like if you've ever had a dream or something, and in your dream, I don't know, you prove you're not in a dream anymore, or somebody proves it to you, or somebody tells you definitively, like you're not in a dream, and but it doesn't matter how convincing the explanation is. When you wake up, you go, "Oh, that was a lie." So it doesn't matter if you believe you are, if you're not. When you wake up, you go, "But that guy showed there's a hole." It's like, well, that guy also doesn't exist. That was in your dream. Like none of it was so it's a logic contained in itself that evaporates once you exit out of that system. It doesn't matter. You killed me in the video game. Well, then I hit pause and I walk away, and it's just a TV. I'm in a bigger game. I'm in this world. So I look at it as like it really doesn't matter like what happens here or who says it. I believe that all the very fabric of reality, the very medium in which dreams within dreams exist, or simulations exist, or thoughts exist, or memories, the very fabric of isness, the fact that there is as opposed to nothing, that is God. So the aliens are here. But yeah, that's someone in your dream going, you're in a dream, and you're like, I don't believe you. And they're like, well, no, here's all the documents. You're in a dream. You wake up and that was a lie, and that person didn't even exist. So I look at it like that, where I'm like, no, 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 it doesn't. So then what is it? I go, oh, it's the endless creativity and the endless, it is creation, just like cancel culture is destroy. Creation itself is godly, and it's can God create a rock that even God can't move? It's like can you see everything God's ever like? No, 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 no. It is a show with infinite seasons.
Yeah.
So if there are aliens coming out of the ocean, I'd be like, that's wild. This is awesome. This is like the coolest playground ever. So that's how I kind of look at it. It's like it can't be disproven. I can tell you right now that you don't exist. I can show you every document.
Right. Right.
I can measure it. And I'll be like, Will, you're not. And you're like, oh, is it that I'm in a dream? I'll be like, no, no, no. This isn't a dream. No, you're here. But the thing is like, none of this exists right now. And look, I can show you right here the flow chart. And if you actually look at the regression window, you'd be like, but we're here talking about this right now. I'd be like, no, 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 no. That's bullshit. You'd be like, no, I exist. Maybe this is a dream. Maybe but something is going on. Am I a
Something's
brain in a
happening.
vat?
Right.
Am I
Yeah.
dreaming? Is this a thought? Is it, regardless, is the brain a receiver? Does it create conscious? Regardless, I am.
Right.
And
I
be
think
still,
therefore I am. Right.
or be still and
Wisdom.
know I am God, or I am that I am.
Right. Right.
So everything else, I'm like, it's just part of the game. It doesn't mean that there isn't real evil. It doesn't mean that there isn't real suffering. There absolutely is. But to me, I'm like that it is God. So everything
That
else
it
is
is evidence of God. The fact that you can think and there's so much abundance and everything is like,
just
it's almost like a Garden of Eden. Like we got kicked out of the Garden of Eden, but there's still Edenic splendor in the universe. In the universe, really.
It's I am that I am. End of the argument.
Amen.
Yeah, amen. Well, yo, dude,
All right.
let's wrap
All
this
right.
up.
Till next time.
Yeah, message me whoever you want on, and I'll put you in touch
Awesome.
with. I'll link you
Awesome.
with them. Yeah, dude.
Awesome.
Everybody listening, if you enjoyed this or if you didn't enjoy it, who cares? Please go in the description. Please go follow his podcast. Please go watch his podcast. He's an awesome guy, Mr. Ramsey. I hope you have a very wonderful Christmas, sir.
You as well. Happy
Thank you so
holidays to
much.
you and to everybody else and all your listeners.
Amen. God bless.
Amen.
Thank you so much,
God
sir.
bless
Thank
you.
you for your time, guys. Thank you.